colorless heart. Set your story in a world that has lost all color. Colorless Heart by Lucy Apatow. Marie roused from sleep in the double bed inside the Paris Hilton Hotel. She sank into the comfort of the silky sheets and the fresh fabric smell. A smile splashed across her face, unable to open her eyes just yet. Freedom at last. Just her. No one else. No jumping on eggshells. Not being caught off guard. No secrets. No lies. Just Marie. No other soul in this room. Away from him. But it wasn't only about liberation. It was about protection. Keeping her loved ones safe. She had to keep them alive. And this was the only way. Freedom for herself, but separation from her loved ones. But that one person foremost in her brain. Salvatore. Marie had recently attended a gun range and learned how to fire a gun, just in case. She never knew when she might need to use it. It was about protection. The alarm on her mobile phone jerked her fully awake. A yawn filtered through as she slowly opened her eyes and spotted her phone on the dull black bedside table that had been brown yesterday. The white cushions that had been hues of purple. The black curtains that had been taupe. The ash black carpet beneath the bed that had been gray. And the black sky through a gap in the window curtain that had been blue. No more blue skies. No more shades other than black and white. The world had lost its color. Marie's breath quickened as her heart palpitated. She rose from bed and rubbed her eyes hard. It had to be her eyes. Had she suddenly become colorblind? Where were all the bright, vibrant colors when it was what she needed? She shut, then opened her eyes, but nothing changed. Her world was drab, colorless, soulless. Her shoulders slumped over, her head bowed. A slow chill ran up and down her spine. Curiosity piqued. Her skin reddened and turned hot. She had no choice but to be here in this colorless world. What had happened overnight to turn her entire world into a shroud of darkness with only black and white in its midst? Then Marie wandered outside the hotel, lost in a world where she knew no one. She had left Melbourne to make a fresh start in Paris so nobody would find her. So he couldn't find her. She couldn't believe having woken up in a fog with shades of gray and black blocking her view of natural color, light, and even shades of gray. A bench with a view of the River Seine looked inviting as she made her way over, put her bag down, and stared at the calm ripples, with a view of the majestic Eiffel Tower, sailing boats anchored in the water, bunched up trees, and riders swinging their arms inside canoes. The wind scraped her face in the winter. nothing but black and white. Marie flashed back to her former life, back home, where she worked as an interior designer, married to a man she didn't love, and friends who would most likely understand her escape. Yesterday, her world was dark, but today, after she awoke, it became darker, grittier, and scarier. Did this lack of color mean something? Could she no longer design with color to refresh old homes or design new ones if she wanted to start over in France? She had not wrung anyone except her best friend, Helena, about her sudden escape for their own protection. With a call from a burner phone, she announced her safe arrival. "Do you have color? Or has the world changed?" Helena replied. "What are you talking about? The things in the world. They're in black and white, Helena. I woke up this morning and nothing was in color. No blues, browns, pinks, purples, yellows, or any color. All gone. Is Melbourne the same? Don't be silly, Marie. We still have color. Have you become colorblind? Had your eyes checked? You couldn't have become colorblind in an instant. Go get them tested. Oh, and please stay safe. I don't know when I'll call you next. You know how he is. He could be tracking this conversation, even if it's on a burner phone. I love you, Marie, and I'm glad you're safe now. One day, we'll be together again." Marie fought back tears after ending the call. She would miss her loved ones, but she still didn't get what was going on. Was she the crazy one, or did only Paris lose its color? With a sigh, Marie rose and made her way back to the hotel, knowing she'd have to find herself permanent residence. As she crossed the wide road, a towering man brushed her shoulder. "Oh, sorry." He locked eyes with her and walked ahead of her on the other side of the road. His broad shoulders and black eyes made her shudder, stopping in his tracks. "I have a message to give you." She angled her head. "Who are you?" "Here, take this," he said. She retrieved the note. He watched her. Who the hell was this guy? And why was he making her nervous? "Who are you?" "I'm just the messenger, lady. Read the note." "Who sent you?" He inched his way closer. "Benny did." "Now read the note." "No, not again." He found her. Would this bastard ever leave her alone? With a shuddering breath, she unfolded the note, her hands shaking and the back of her neck sweating. Bits of her skin prickled. What was this? She had to be dreaming as she read the note, her vision blurred as if the words weren't real. The threat wasn't real. "Meet me in front of the Louvre tomorrow morning, 9:00 a.m. sharp, or someone you love dies." The same old threats again. How did he find me? The man bared his crooked teeth with a smile. He swaggered off into the distance. It wasn't over. It never would be. The next morning, Marie paced her steps towards the Louvre, a queue that was a mile long. She wondered if anyone would ever reach the entrance to the museum. The glass panels of the building distracted her from the enemy she was about to meet. Each step drew her closer to the devil. When would it end? Her breath hitched as she stepped on uneven ground, razor-sharp pain cutting into her lower back as she fought the gust of frozen wind. She had to free herself. But how? He would always find her, threaten her, obsess over her, and abuse her. She'd been abused for 3 torturous years. Storm clouds brewed when Marie drew closer to the swarms of people. It was almost 9 o'clock, and passers-by stared at her as if she as an alien. Was it obvious she was heading towards her death chamber, to her dreaded foe? A cold caress at the back of her neck made her freeze in her spot. She turned. It was him, Benny. In all his wealthy glamour, the bastard wore a black tie, black buttoned-up suit jacket over a black cashmere jumper, with black pleated pants over Italian leather shoes. He smelled rich. "Follow me," he said, as he prodded her towards an unknown destination. They walked in silence as his intermittent glares unnerved her. The squeeze of his arm draped through hers, leaving bruises, but she said nothing. His pinch at the back of her neck made her flinch, but she said nothing. The push and pull of her hair strands made her want to cry out, but she didn't. Hidden pain to display her fake strength. When, finally, she sat down outside the cafe with its outdoor setting, he ordered hot drinks and croissants. No one does what you did and gets away with it. She swallowed, her lip trembling, as she stared past him. "Please don't hurt him," he chuckled and threw his head back, his stained white teeth prominent. Flicking a cigarette over an ashtray, he tilted his head. "You're lucky I love you, Marie. If I didn't love you, you'd be dead by now. But you ever try something like this again, and I won't hesitate to slash your throat. Feed your decrepit body to the fish in the Seine River. Got that?" She nodded, a black spot clouding her vision. Puffs of smoke floated towards her and made her cough. Not that he cared. He was a narcissist. He retrieved his phone. "Watch this. No, I mean business, Marie. I don't blow damn smoke up my arse." She gripped the phone and saw him, tied up to a chair, gagged, beaten, tortured. 2 black eyes, bruising across his cheek, haggard, frail, head hanging down low as if giving up. "No, don't give up, my love. Never give up." A gasp of air grounded her. Rattling teeth must have made her look scared in front of him. "Is he all right?" he scoffed. "That depends on you. You put 1 foot wrong. Leave me again, and he dies. Only when we're safely back home, he'll be released. The waiter returned with the croissants and hot coffees. Sorry about the croissants. They're a little overcooked, but these are more their natural yellow. Marie winced. But those croissants are black, not yellow. He waved a hand. Don't mind her. She's the constant joker. But no worries. We'll have them as they are. The waiter nodded. Black, you say? Benny glared. Leave us. The waiter walked off with a curious gaze. He turned to her. What is wrong with you? Can't you see the color of the food? How could he not see what she was seeing? What was wrong with her? No, everything is black and white. I don't see color anymore. He laughed. Are you telling me you see the brown coffees, the blue ashtray, the beige tablecloth, my red tie, my dashing blue eyes? Her heart missed a beat as she gritted her teeth. No, I lost sight of color this morning. I woke up like this. Everything is black and white. Interesting, he said. Marie looked past him and spotted the man she'd seen earlier. The one who had given her the note. He was standing by a lamp-post, sculling a bottle of beer. Why was he around? He must have been Benny's bodyguard, in case she made a run for it. Marie and Benny stepped inside her hotel room. He pushed her towards the wardrobe. Start packing. Our flight leaves in a few hours. Okay then. She pushed aside her floating tears and steeled herself by pulling out her suitcase from underneath the bed, unzipping it. As if in a surreal world, she pulled clothing off hangers and threw them into the suitcase. She was going back to her prison, away from the love of her life. If only she had been stronger a few years ago, when he had framed her ex-boyfriend, Salvatore, for murder. Just so he could be free from prison, she was forced to marry him. Marriage to Benny in exchange for Salvatore's freedom. She had never explained why she'd broken up with him. Had to convince Salvatore she no longer loved him. It had cut her insides, but she had to keep him safe. Salvatore had not given up on her and found ways for them to meet secretly. But Benny always found out about their secret rendezvous. He had put plans in place, made the worst things happen. Benny involved in Salvatore crashing his car, ruining his reputation in business, injuring his friend with a beating by his henchmen, and almost killing him at least twice. Now Salvatore was threatened with death. What more could the creep do? I'm having a shower, he said. She sat on the bed. How could she go back with him? But she had no choice when Salvatore would die if she didn't. Benny's phone lay on the bedside table. Curious, she picked it up and found his recording. Salvatore was still tied to the chair, still tortured and broken. But wait, something was weird about this video. The actions were the same. His movements repeated in a cycle, as if it was on a loop. This wasn't her true love life. This was a fake video. It had to be. Could Salvatore have arranged this? Outsmarted Benny again, she smiled to herself. Now she had a chance to do something. Fight him. Hurt him. But no. She wasn't a violent person and had morals. Nothing like Benny. Nothing. What could she do? Run away again? But Benny might pursue Salvatore and never stop. He would never stop finding her until his own death. She knew that. So what could she do? She could never reason with a crazy person. A knock on the door made her jolt in her spot. It could be anyone. Her heart racing, she slowly opened the door and flinched when the man from earlier pushed past her. "Where's Benny? What are you doing here?" the man whispered in her ear. "Listen, Salvatore will set you free. Get out of here." She swallowed, her vision blurring. What? The back of her neck sweated as one ear listened in on Benny in the shower. "No time to talk. Leave. Now. We'll take care of this." She was right. It was a fake recording. He'd escaped. Where is he? The man swung the gun in his hand, scanning past her. "He's closer than you think. Go now." Her heart soared, and a spot of color flashed in her vision, but only fleetingly. It turned black and white again. What in hell is going on here? Benny grasped something from his back pocket. "Why are you here?" The man shrugged until reaching his side pocket and shooting towards Benny, who shifted to the side, the bullet grazing his cheek. But Benny pulled out his own gun and took aim. The gun hit the man square in the chest. He fell back against the door with a thud. Marie quaked. It was over. No love. No freedom. You will never leave me. Never, Marie. Get that. Nobody will ever take you away from me. Grab your things. Hurry up. He shifted the strange man's body to the bathroom, blood pouring out of him like a tap. When he returned, Benny shoved her aside and flung the remainder of her clothes into the suitcase. "Now zip it up, and let's leave pronto." He sat on the sofa and scrolled through his phone. A call to one of his stupid thugs. Goosebumps swarmed like insects over her arms as a dull ache at the back of her neck made her queasy. This had to stop. Slowly zipping up the baggage. A shuffling sound underneath the bed made her think she was hearing things. But no. She spotted a shoe protruding from the corner as someone glided further to the edge near the bedside table. Salvatore appeared and placed a finger across his lips, hefting a gun. She moved towards Benny, pulled the suitcase off the bed, and retrieved her bag. "I'm ready." Salvatore flung himself in the open and approached Benny with an aim of his gun. "Put your hands up. Now." Benny flinched. "You have a death wish, don't you? You might have got away from my men, but you'll never win this war. I will fight you to the death, Benny. I don't care if I die so long as Marie goes free. Free from your dungeon. free from your psychopathic world. You loser. He faced Marie. Go now. I'll take care of this. She shook her head. We fight with our hands. Fight to the death. Benny scoffed. Fine with me. He shoved his pistol inside his back pocket and took a fighting stance, while Salvatore did the same. No, please, Salvatore, just go. I can't be with you. Benny's my husband. I'm going back to Melbourne with him. Please leave. No, Marie, enough is enough. Benny threw the first punch, then another, and another, until he went down. He gouged one of Salvatore's eyes and flung his head hard against the carpet. Marie moved. No, Benny, stop. I'll come with you. Please, stop. Benny softened, giving Salvatore the chance to pound into Benny with a blow to the kidney and then a swift kick in the leg. Lamps overturned, magazines tumbled in the air, and the coffee table shifted. Benny kicked him on the side of his abdomen, and he keeled over. She had to do something. But what? Benny reached for something in his pants pocket. A flick knife. No, no. He was going to break the rules. Not on her watch. Salvatore attempted to rise when Benny stepped forward. A smirk plastered over his face. He wandered over to him when the knife swung in the air. Marie reached for his back pocket, pulled out the gun, and aimed. Stop, or I'll shoot, he scoffed. You don't have the guts. Don't even know guns. Benny ignored her, about to stab Salvatore in the throat. Marie pulled the trigger and shot him twice in the stomach. The knife fell, and he dropped like a sack of potatoes. Blood seeped onto the carpet, and she watched and waited for the life force to draw out of him. 3 years of hell. 3 years of watching over her shoulder. 3 years of fearing the lives of her loved ones, walking quietly on eggshells. Those days were over as the rotten apple drew his last breath. Salvatore shuffled towards her and hugged her. I love you, Marie. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you from him. You've always protected me. She beamed. I love you too, Salvatore. She savored the gentle caress of her lover's strong arms around her waist. Her eyes shifted, her surroundings vibrating with color. Nor more colorless world. The gray sensitive. Theme warning. Violence, gore, horror, suicide, ideation. It's a hole in the ground. Newspaper, leaves, and cardboard. Paracord to the truck behind. Pitfall, the shuffling is sporadic. Moments of silence. Then the stomach growls. The creature shuffles. It's a rabbit. An albino. Comes out like an old magician's hat. No fight. I pull it close to my face. Can feel its breath. Its heart beats quick. It doesn't fight. Why? No broken limbs. No signs of tears. The stomach growls. Look in its eyes. Beady. Red. I sigh. Set it down. doesn't run, sniffs the air, steps around, timid, walks back to the pitfall, flops inside, shuffles, stops. I want to laugh, but the forest is quiet. No wind. Once a concrete jungle. Shopping malls, cars, people. Now it belongs to the green. What isn't claimed by the green is claimed by the gray. And the gray is quiet. It squeaks. I pick it up again. Doesn't fight. Set it down. Block the path to the pitfall with boot. It walks around a bit. It's lost, alone. No instincts to live. Strange. Branch snaps behind me. Big branch. Reach for gun. Black. Flash. Big flash. Bang. Birds fly away. Fluttering wings echo amongst the concrete and trees. Rabbits gone. Slight rustling in the distance. It stops. Too small for bear. Must be bobcat. Agile, quick. There's blood spray on the road. Twisted pattern against overgrowth. I follow it. I am the apex. I am what's left. I am man. Follow for a mile. Blood drippings and shuffled leaves. Leads to real forest. Dense. No concrete. The gray has touched these trees. Now it rots with life. The coating is amalgamated. All is one, and one is all. The gray spreads slowly. That is its way. Leaves touch where they shouldn't. They grow into each other until two become one, until 100 becomes one, until all is gray. The trail of the beast walks the line between life and fake life, where the earth is still brown, the ground's too dry to give a distinct print. Where the world is gray, the blood loses its color and feeds the machine. The sun is setting. The gray will cede to the earth. Still, it grows. The whole of it, the lot of it, pushing over the trail, seeping into the earth, must follow the color until there is none left. Dusk has set. When the green is quiet, the gray may speak. The gray's owls hoot their calls, distorted cries echoing amongst itself. Mockery. They call to me from the canopy. Hoot, where do you go? I don't answer the gray. It's all lies. Hoot, why do you go? I don't answer. Derek, more human this time. My love, don't stop. We miss you. I stop and look into the gray. It glows at night, coding stolen from fireflies. It hums and haws with energy. Colors, shifting blue, green, orange, where it wills. The gray squelches against itself, tearing, ripping, like the sound of flesh in the mouth of a bear. Trees cracking under pressure that builds until it snaps. It tears itself to breed. A silhouette stands deep in the gray. It hides behind a tree. Gnawed silver fingers stretched around the bark of more gray. Derek, far more human than before. I pull out the gun. Is it you? Female. Familiar. I pull back the hammer. Derek, please. I put the barrel to my temple. The gray recoils. Low. Guttural hiss. Vibrating through the silver mass. The apparition melts into itself, seeping back into the gray, like water into sand. I sigh, put down the gun, pull out the torch, follow the trail, ignore the memories. The trail remains. The blood falls more into the green. If it's a cat, it's big. It's eaten well. There's a river nearby. Fresh water. Lips are dry. Cracked. Hands, too. The trail leads to the sound of water. Moonlight sparkles through the canopy of leaves. The beast has taken me to a pond. Frogs hop amongst lily pads. Ribbit. Stomach growls. Make a gig out of branches and twine. Spear 3. Cut back of necks. Peel off skin. Use knife to cut through feet and hips. Legs are good. Moonlight is good. Dump in salt water. Start a fire. Burn the impurities. Feast beneath the stars. The tune of water is nice. It does not squelch. It does not cry. It simply flows. Night has seeped in. The beast will tire. Now is the time. Pack up supplies. Throw discarded frog bits to where the gray will come. Let it feast on the dead instead. Cross the river. Find trail. Blood patterns are more frequent. Not far. Put torch on shoulder. Count bullets. 4. Holster gun with strap loose. Draw spear. Listen. Leaves, wind, wine. The wine is not a cat. Draw nearer to animal. Blood pools in thick puddles. Wine is frequent. The beast is hurt enough to not be alarmed by the light. Keep it on. Something is tearing flesh. Sounds like the gray, but raw. It's chewing. Hide in bush. Close to the beast. Very close. The beast is not alarmed. Not by the light. Not by footsteps. Not by me. I face the beast beneath the light of my torch. The beast is not a cat. It's a dog. Great Dane. Mouth stained with blood. Bullet hit right flank. Bleeding under the moon. Alive. Barely. The squelching sound continues. Not the dog. Shine light towards it. Its eyes catch the light, but it does not move. It holds the remains of the white rabbit in its dark and thin fingers. Blood shines off the skin around the mouth, takes the rabbit, and bites into the guts raw. Its beady eyes look at me. Silent intrigue. I kneel to its level. It watches me without concern or care. A child. A human child. I rush to him. The dog growls and stands on its wounded leg. I raise my hands and cede. The dog rests and resumes its whines, not taking its eyes off me. There is no sign of the gray on the child. There is no sign of gray on the dog. Both are younger than the gray. Take off rucksack. Gather firewood. Build small fire. Child watches in awe. Dog is unbothered. Offer small berries to child. It smiles and takes them with bloodied hands. The child eats until it cannot and falls asleep. The dog rests where it lay. I take the rabbit and cut it to pieces. Cooking what's left, eating little, and saving the rest. I curl next to the fire and let sleep take me. The dog's barks startle me awake. Frequent yaps at something behind me. The child has taken my spear and points it behind me. The sun is overhead. I have slept too long. Twist in place. The gray surrounds me. Silver apparitions stand above. Shaped like humans, features like humans, but only gray. The dog barks more frequently. The child is near to tears, screaming. The gray has claimed my leg. Its crawl is slow. I thrust my leg free from the mold, but the gray has seeped into my skin. The child screams again, jabbing at the apparitions. It connects with one, but the apparition holds the spear tightly and pulls the child in. Don't think. Jump at apparition. Push child away. Apparition swallows me, wrapping my skin. Reach for gun. Bring to head. Bang. Nothing. Still here. Missed. Apparition pulls hand down. Kicks gun to the green to the child. The child stares at me. Nod to gun. Do it. First words I have uttered in years. Do it. The gray brings me to my knees. Apparitions all around. Touching, feeling, taking me. The mold crawls slow. Points of contact multiplying. Do it! The child picks up the gun and points it at me. Relief. I don't fight anymore, but the child does. Its hands tremble. The child's eyes are teary. It has not known me. Still, it weeps. I smile. It's okay. It's okay, little one. Let it happen. Bang! The quiet island. When Flo heard the car approaching, she darted off the road and crouched low behind an olive tree. She didn't dare move. At 13, she knew how dangerous it was to be out here alone. The car rattled past, the sound fading in the distance, leaving only the hum of crickets. As she stood up, the ground beneath her tilted, like the deck of a sinking ship, and she had to clutch the tree for balance. Another dizzy spell. They'd been hitting her all morning. She needed to find food, and soon she stepped back onto the road and started walking. After about an hour, as the sun crept over the mountains, Flo spotted an orange grove a few paces off the road. The ground was littered with fruit, but most had passed their best. She saw a couple of ripe ones still clinging to their branches, and after a few attempts, she managed to jump high enough to reach them. She sat down in the dappled shade and demolished the fruits. The juices ran down her chin, but she didn't care. She hadn't eaten real food in weeks. After a short rest and a brief pee in the bushes, Flo continued along the road. She didn't know how much further she'd have to walk, but she knew that so long as she kept the mountains behind her, she'd be all right. By mid-morning, Flo had given up wiping the sweat from her brow, surrendering her eyes to the stinging. She wanted to rest, but knew that the heat would only get worse as the day wore on. Besides, her parents would have surely woken up by now and discovered she had gone. Would they come looking for her? Would they be brave enough? Could they be brave enough? Flo pressed on, the trees thinning until there was nothing besides a few fragrant shrubs and yellowed grass. She grabbed a handful of thyme and rubbed it with her fingers, the sharp scent cutting through the dry air. Her eyes widened when she noticed the view ahead of her. "There it is," she said, running a hand through her hair, which was now thick and greasy. In front of her, not half a mile away, was the sparkling waters of the Mediterranean Sea. "Eat that, Duke of Edinburgh," she said, and laughed. In the distance, she could make out a small fishing village, with its rocky pier and shallow sandy beach. There were no boats at the pier, nor any out at sea. There were no planes in the sky, either. It was all so eerie. Flo had arrived in Crete less than 2 months ago. She'd been brimming with excitement for her first holiday abroad. But now, after everything that had happened, it seemed like a distant memory. She paused for a moment, her gaze drifting to a tiny island not far from the shore. It was too small to be inhabited by people, but she could see specks of birds circling above. She wondered if it was possible to swim to the island. Back in school, she'd earned her 200-meter badge, which she was quite proud of, though this distance looked at least twice that. Pulling herself away from the view, she followed the road. It twisted and turned and descended toward the town. And eventually, the surface transitioned from gravel to tarmac. The first building Flo came across was a row of holiday villas, each a different pastel color. She approached one of them, standing on her tiptoes so she could see over the stone wall and into the garden. There was a swimming pool, but the water was murky green. A body floated face down in the center. She wandered over to the next villa, which didn't have a wall, and was relieved to find that the swimming pool was empty. Unfortunately, the sunbed next to it was not. A woman lay flat on the bed, her arms dangling on either side. She wore a black bikini, and her spilled guts glistened in the sunlight, festering and dissected by the feral cats. Flo turned to leave, but after a few paces, her morbid curiosity got the better of her. She glanced back and stiffened. The woman was sitting bolt upright. Flo swallowed hard and hurried along the road. Behind her, she heard a low gurgle, wet and bubbling. The village was only a short walk from the villa. It had a central road that led directly to the seafront. Along the road were numerous shops that sold what her dad would call tourist tat. Trying her luck, Flo stepped into one of them at random. Inside, the air was thick and stale. Flo scanned the shelves, hoping for something, anything, edible. The place, however, had been ransacked. What was left had little use to her now. Fridge magnets, postcards, swimming goggles, ceramic figures, tourist guides offering the hidden gems of Crete, handcrafted wooden coasters and honey dippers. And there, right at the back of the store, perched high on the top shelf, stood a large jar of stuffed green olives. Flo didn't care much for olives, but it was not the time to be picky. She walked down the aisle toward the shelves and reached upward, but it was no good. She needed to get higher. She found an empty crate nearby. Using it as a step, she touched the base of the jar with her fingertips. It would have to do. She began to edge the jar when something stirred from somewhere inside the store. Flo turned her head, her eyes darting from aisle to aisle, searching for the source of the sound. Nothing. All right, she thought. Just grab the olives and get the hell out of here. She continued maneuvering the jar, inch by inch, until she could get her hands under it. Got it. She lowered the jar and tucked it safely under her arm. As she climbed down, her vision suddenly blurred. A million black flies swarming behind her eyelids. The ground seemed to shift beneath her feet, and the next thing she knew, she was lying flat on her back. Dazed, Flo tilted her head to one side, her gaze lingering on the smashed jar of olives beside her, the brine pooling across the floor. Something crunched over the glass. Flo snapped her head up and gasped. A slender, crooked figure was shuffling toward her, walking over the shards of glass. She was an elderly woman. Her skin was pale and torn like tissue paper. Her sunken eyes were a clouded gray and unblinking. Flo scrambled to her feet, scoring her palms on the broken glass as she stood, though she barely felt the pain. The woman inched closer. Her jaw hung open, her lips cracked and bloodless. A faint groan rose from her throat, like a rusted hinge. The old woman stood between Flo and the exit. Flo hesitated. Her eyes flickered between the woman and the doorway. She picked up the crate and shoved it into the elderly woman. The woman staggered back, arms flailing. Flo tossed the crate aside and made a break for the exit. She was almost there when the light from the doorway darkened. A hulking creature stepped into the store. It stood 6 feet tall, its chest and shoulders matted with hair. blistered skin peeled away in leathery strips, scorched by the heat. The creature gave a deep, sickening groan as it lumbered toward Flo. Behind it, more zombies filtered in. 2, 3, 4. So many. Flo stepped backward, but slipped on a smear of sun cream, landing hard on the floor. She yelled in pain. She grabbed the shelves and pulled herself up, knocking over a stand of sunglasses that clattered to the floor. Flo spun around and froze. The elderly woman stood at the end of the aisle, blocking her path. "No," Flo whispered. A wave of hopelessness overwhelmed her. She pressed her back against the wall, her body trembling. The undead closed in. Flo squeezed her eyes shut, bracing herself, waiting for the inevitable. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4. She opened her eyes. The zombie, the big one, stood in front of her. The stench was suffocating. Flo held her breath, remaining completely still. She watched with confusion as it turned its back to her, looking down at where the sunglasses had landed. The others slowed too. Flo frowned. What was happening? She waved her hand in front of one of them. It didn't even flinch. They must have been attracted to the sound, Flo thought. They're not interested in me. Flo slipped past the mob. They looked almost as confused as Flo felt, and stepped out into the blinding sun. I'm invisible. For the next couple of hours, Flo embraced her newfound superpower. She raided the shops and managed to scavenge a box of honey-soaked pastry nests and 2 cans of Greek lemonade. She consumed the lot in one sitting before moving to other shops, trying on dresses and sun hats and expensive jewelry. She grew strangely accustomed to the zombies, now that they didn't seem to see her as a meal. When she grew tired, Flo headed to the beach. She laid a towel on an empty sunbed and sat down. A few zombies rested on nearby beds, cooking in the heat. Another was crawling across the sand. A cockroach scuttled across its back. A young boy, who looked to be of a similar age to Flo, laid flat on a paddleboard that had washed up to shore. A little girl, just a toddler, sat upright in the shallow water. She was wearing 2 armbands, but one had deflated. The gentle waves kept pushing her over, but she sprung back up, a loose tooth, unsteady, but clinging into place. Flo kicked off her shoes and let her toes sink into the sand. She pulled out a bottle of sun lotion from her tote bag and applied it to her bare arms and legs, careful not to get it on the plaster covering her left ankle. She dried her hands on the towel, then pulled off the plaster. No need to hide it anymore. The bite mark had swollen since yesterday, but she could still make out the dental impression of the old man in her ankle. It reminded her of the clay impressions she'd had made for her braces a few months prior. She sighed, then laid back on the sunbed. It was stupid. She was stupid. She'd gone and gotten herself bitten and ruined everything. 2 swallows danced in the sky. Flo watched as they flew out to sea toward the island. Flo closed her eyes, her mind spinning. I had no choice. I had to run away. I couldn't let them see me like this. She tried to focus on the sounds. The fizz of the sea foam, the rise of the crickets, the chirp of the birds, the soft groans of the undead. Flo drifted to sleep. When Flo woke, the shadows were stretched long across the sand, and the sound of the crickets had died back. Flo glanced at her ankle. Her stomach twisted. Dark purple veins had formed around the wound. She traced them with trembling fingers, her chest tightening. Not long now. I'm sorry, Flo whispered, tears forming in her eyes. I didn't mean for this to happen. She pulled the towel from under her and wrapped it over her shoulders. She hugged her knees to her chest, shivering despite the lingering warmth. Everything ached. Ached like it did when she'd had the COVID vaccine last autumn. She pictured herself as a zombie, imagining her eyes turning gray and wandering about aimlessly. She imagined seeing her parents and seeing the pain and horror on their faces when they recognized her. Then she imagined her younger brother, his eyes lighting up when he saw her, too young to understand. She reached out to him, as if to hug him, but instead pulled him close and opened her mouth to bite. No. Stop it. Flo stood up, staggering to the water's edge. I can't let that happen. I won't. She went over to the paddleboard. She tipped it, letting the body of the boy slip into the water. She climbed onto the board, her hands shaking as she picked up the paddle. The sea stretched out before her, painted in hues of pink and orange, and on the horizon was the island. She pushed off, letting the board drift from the shore. This was where she was meant to go all along. She knew this now. To the island. It's going to be okay, she whispered to the waves. The island loomed ahead, its rocky cliffs sharp against the twilight sky. Gulls cried overhead, their calls echoing across the water. I can't hurt them now,